Hey guys, welcome in and a very happy Wednesday to you as we've got still a ton of college hoops going on this week. Even today, in fact, we get the other quarterfinal of the NIT battle, a trip to Madison Square Garden on the line. We're going to talk about that game. And of course, we're going to drop in two more Sweet 16 battles and matchups, preview it, see if we can't find a couple of edges for you. And we're going to do it with three of the finest here as we welcome in Drew Martin back in the house, top spot. Trigger here in the middle, and of course, sportsmemo.com's mid-major Matt hanging out with us here today on a Wednesday. Gentlemen, getting good. Sweet 16, even some of these other tournaments here have been a whole lot of fun there with the CBI, and now we've got the NIT almost wrapping up, Drew. A lot of different ways to be able to make money still in college hoops, and nobody knows that better than you, as you are now, I believe, on a 10-2 run going on here. If nobody does 5% like you, Drew, what's going on, man?
Hey, Joe. Well, it's college basketball, Sweet 16 March Madness, and I'm seeing it well at the right time. So, yeah, hopefully keep it going. Got the 5% up for tomorrow's card, a game I really like, a matchup where the numbers are pointing in a hopefully a cash for tomorrow night. So check it out, guys, WagerTalk.com. And Joe, you bring up these other kind of secondary tournaments. It's a lot of fun as well. It's a little bit different kind of atmosphere, which leads to us sports bettors kind of getting an advantage in some of them, whether it be the NIT, college basketball classic, where, hey, they might finish it, they might not, but either way, like mid-major Matt and I were talking about earlier, it's games to bet on. So the Sweet 16 at the forefront, but these secondary conferences, a lot of fun and fun to see everybody, all the watchers out there, you, Joe, Trigger in Las Vegas. That was a ton of fun. Thanks to Wager Talk for putting that on, and Superbook as well, the Westgate there. Really fun time with you, Joe, and fun time to be breaking down the games with you, buddy.
Yeah, there is nothing like it. It is true madness, especially in Vegas this time of year. So all fun, but there's money to be made, and Trig knows this very well here, not just in the tournament, but St. Bonaventure apparently only wins when you bet on them, Trig. So big win for you last night. Congrats. What are you following that up with tonight at WagerTalk.com?
Joe, I need more teams to do that. Win only when I bet on them. But yeah, the Bonnies got there last night. So that was a nice win. My only play on Tuesday. And I have one college basketball best bet for tonight, but you don't need to buy it because I've posted it for free. And we're going to talk about it here on this show. And I will absolutely be in action for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight this weekend. Just looking for a strong finish to what hasn't been my, best college basketball season, actually, to be completely honest. Well, one of the worst I can remember, but hopefully we'll finish it strong. We got baseball coming up. And the NBA is not something I do regularly, but haven't missed the spot play yet this year. Only made 2. They're 2-0. I'll start to make more of those. And I had a really good NBA run in the playoffs last year, went 12-4. So stuff to look forward to. Hopefully we'll get it going, keep it going after a nice St. Bonaventure win last night.
Absolutely. Keep it rolling here, just like mid-major Matt over at sportsmemo.com. Nice 3-0 night, my man. Rolling into it. We got a big tournament, a couple of tournament games coming up here before the Sweet 16 starts. So what do you got for us, Matt?
Yeah, nice 3-0 night last night. 11-2 in the NIT, CBI, and College Basketball Classic. Love the mid-major tournaments, to say the least. And certainly I don't think I'm on anything tonight, but we'll see what happens with some of the line moves if anything strikes my fancy. But you can get my stuff at sportsmemo.com. A nice long-term run going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one here, guys. Tonight, opportunities galore. And, of course, as we get ready here over the next 48, 72 hours, we're going to be dealing with some Sweet 16 battles here, and we'll look at one right now, and none better than that number one team, Gonzaga, -8.5, opening up against Coach Musselman and Arkansas. The Razorbacks here, 155.5 as an opening total. This will, in fact, go off tomorrow, 7:09 p.m. Eastern Time tip, and call me crazy. But Zags number one for good reason here, and I don't know that this number is going to go any lower, Drew. So are you a believer in the Zags getting it done against Arkansas tomorrow?
You know what, Joe, from a side perspective, I don't think I am. I think I like this Arkansas side. Now, I am worried a little bit here about the travel aspect. You know, keep in mind, they're going from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Buffalo, New York, back to Fayetteville, and then out to San Francisco, California. So we get the time change there, all of that kind of included. But the fact of, you know, something I like to do here, Joe, is in the Sweet 16, the first round of the tournament, the Sweet 16 and Final Four, I like to have the better coach. I don't know who I would give that to here. You know, Mark Few versus Musselman, I think it's about even, so I'll wash it there. But Arkansas, you know, the basketball that they've been playing of late, a lot of people going to point to, you know, that stretch where they were, 13-1 ATS. Well, that's turned into 15-5 ATS, losing the last three against the spread. So they're kind of being taxed a little bit here in the marketplace. That worries me as well. But Gonzaga, looking at how they've played of late, yes, Gonzaga, the number one overall seed. They've won the games to get here, no doubt about it. But they have lost 5 straight against the spread. They've also lost 8 of 9, depending what numbers you got there. So they've been a real money burner here of late. They've given up an average of 73 points per game. So that lockdown defense, 73 points per game their last 6 games. So of late, not playing that same defense, the Bulldogs, that we can kind of remember here in the West Coast Conference, last 3 games have finished over the total by 33 points combined. So for whatever reason, it's not really working. Now, granted, it's against good offensive teams, but Arkansas getting to the free throw line a bunch, going to drive to the basket. If the refs are calling these fouls tight, I think that's advantage to the Razorbacks. If not, I'd say it's an advantage to Gonzaga. Overall, kind of a difficult handicap here. But you make me choose it, Joe, and I will take the dog plus 9.5 here with Pig Suey and the Arkansas Razorbacks.
All right. The money has come in hard. It's coming fast, Trig. We watched it out in Vegas when that number came up. The money came rolling in. But is it past the point now? Is it too much? You believe that JD Note and company can get it done against the number one Zags?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think they can get it done. Joe, I had the pleasure of grinding out Drew Martin Betts' 5% play on Saturday night with him in person at Circus Sportsbook, where he needed the points and it got there to the over. And I got to say, I would not be all that shocked if we kind of see the same game. Memphis is like a worse version of Arkansas, in my opinion. The two teams are very similar. And I don't think the final score in Gonzaga-Memphis really does justice to how close Memphis was to winning that game. As you see on the screen right here, 10-point lead at halftime. And Memphis really was right in it till the end until Gonzaga was kind of able to pull away. Now, Arkansas is going to need to shoot the ball better than they did the first weekend. I don't think that's a rocket science, right? Like you're not going to get away with a 7-minute scoring drought against Gonzaga, because they're far better offensively than Vermont and New Mexico State. But I think Arkansas deserves a little credit. I feel like they've gotten bashed a little bit because they struggled with those two teams. But I don't think either of those teams was even a good matchup for Arkansas. And they found a way. They buckled down on defense when the shots weren't falling, and they were able to get there and get to the Sweet 16. In this game, I think we could see a faster pace, which would, in my opinion, benefit Arkansas. I think Gonzaga struggles to guard really physical, athletic guards, which Arkansas has. And the defense for Arkansas has been really good. So, in my opinion, you've got this number up where it is now. Looking at my odds screen here, I think we're seeing 9.5 pretty much the going rate at this point. I don't see why Arkansas can't hang within that number, especially if you subscribe to the theory that this might be an over game with points, and you're going to need some scoring from Arkansas for that to get there. So, to me, the number's too big. Gonzaga is really good. I think a lot of people are putting them in this game. I hope that's not the case. I have Arkansas at 80-1 to win this thing that I bet back in February at some point. We talked about it on our show on The Hustle. But no, Arkansas, they're going to be in this game. The only way Gonzaga covers this number, in my opinion, is if Arkansas has another prolonged scoring drought. But I think this matchup for Arkansas is going to be easier for them to score. And let's face it, they shot the ball horribly last weekend. Let's get a little positive shooting regression here for Arkansas. And I think if they get that, they're going to stay within a very big.
Yeah, 10 of 37 from the perimeter, Matt, for Arkansas. They're going to need to do better than that from three if they want to take down the Zags. Are you a believer in the dog here? Or do you think the Zags have too much firepower?
My partners here, they should go into comedy for some of the things they've said. First off, Drew said that Mark Few and Musselman are comparable. What kind of world is that? Mark Few coaches circles around Musselman. I don't
Musselman has
understand that.
one working arm here, Matt. One working arm, and he's got him into the Sweet 16. What are you talking about, man? I think that they are, especially recently.
See, there you go. The Westgate needs to call you to be their new bar act because that's pretty funny too. But seriously, like we're talking about this from the Arkansas side, but like who's covering Holmgren and Timmy? I mean, Jalen Williams is only one guy, and if they don't fall for his constant flops that are called charges, like he's going to be out of the game pretty quick. And Trig is right though. If with regards to the foul calling, like if they don't call his flops as charges, he's going to be out of the game in the first couple minutes. I actually think I like Gonzaga in the first half here. I think that we've seen Gonzaga come out and play some poor first halves, and I think Mark Few's going to really hammer that home. I think there could be some value in Arkansas in the second half if Gonzaga, in theory, gets out to a nice lead. But I'm just, who's covering Timmy? Who's covering Holmgren? Williams can't cover both of them. And then if you're going to double them, hopefully Bolton and some of those other guys are going to hit some threes. Strother has not been very good in the tournament so far. So I think this is a really good matchup for Gonzaga here. I'm looking at the Zags in the first half after hearing for so long about how poorly they've played coming out of Remember, they were in a close game in the first half with Georgia State. I like Gonzaga first half here to send a message early.
Yeah, the SEC, pretty much the only team left here. 2-7 against the number in the tournaments. Can they get it done here? We're going to find out. It'll be interesting. The Zags taking on Arkansas. That's tomorrow. Let's take a look at the game after that. And boy, oh boy, Duke taking on Texas Tech. Now, we were in Vegas at the minute that Duke got every call in the world there in the final 2 minutes against Michigan State, and they ended up winning. And then we watched Texas Tech line up, and then we watched the number flip to Texas Tech rather quickly, too, there, as they are the favorite in this one. But I don't know if everyone agrees with that, Trig. There are a lot of people who believe maybe the wrong team is favored here. Are you one of them?
Man, Joe, first of all, if Holmgren played in the SEC, someone would have already snapped him over their knee at this point. So I think someone will figure out how to be able to be physical enough to guard him. But onto this game, this matchup is a tough matchup. Texas Tech defensively is probably as good as of a team that Duke will have seen this season, and you can't score inside on Texas Tech. That's just teams have had some of their lowest scoring outputs in the paint against Texas Tech this season. So Duke's going to have to shoot here and make their shots, to win this game. The only reason I'm not coming in and backing up the Brinks truck on Texas Tech is I just don't trust their offense at all. And even though Duke isn't kind of up there when you consider like top defenses, it hasn't taken like an elite defense to slow Texas Tech's offense down. So I think that's the sort of where the matchup gets difficult. Because is Texas Tech, Duke just with their sheer talent can score some points. If Duke's hitting threes, Texas Tech could be in trouble. But if Duke isn't hitting from the outside, I would be shocked if they win this game. So I'm not a huge totals better, but I have to think that Duke struggles to score, because they're going to need to hit the three to score. We saw Notre Dame, which was probably as good of a matchup, a team that kind of wants to live on the perimeter. They still lost to Texas Tech. So I don't know that I want to go against either of these sides, and I'll let the other two sort of either dispute this or back this up. This feels like it could go under to me. I think Duke will have a hard time scoring. I don't see Texas Tech really lighting it up. Interested to see what the other two say about if there's any value in that, but this feels like a low-scoring game to me, Joe.
It does feel like the under is in play here, Matt, but are you leaning one way or the other in this matchup?
So it's going to sound funny, but like if, Texas Tech's the better team, but if you're not throwing into the handicap the fact that this is going to be an 8-on-5, like you're being naive. I mean, I'm just saying, we just saw CBS got massive ratings for the Duke-Michigan State game. They've got all sorts of packages and highlight things set up for Duke Gonzaga. Like they're already set up for the Elite Eight. So it's going to be really on Texas Tech to physically beat Duke and not allow the officials to get involved in this game. And you look, Duke is number 2 on defense with the fewest free throw attempts per field goal attempts. And if that continues, I don't know if Texas Tech's offense, which is really inconsistent, could take advantage of Duke's poor defense. The other thing they have to consider here is the odds makers know that the betting public is going to come in on Duke. They're going to see that Duke's the underdog. They're going to be like, oh, the Blue Devils, Coach K, I've heard of that guy. Although Drew might think Coach K and Mark Adams might be about the same coaching-wise. But sorry, Drew. I love you, Drew, but I just had to throw that in there. I'm just saying Texas Tech's the better team here, but I think the officials are going to be involved. I think everybody wants Duke to move on, so Texas Tech's going to actually have to win this game and not let the officials get involved.
It's just throwing bombs here, Drew. I don't know what to say here, my man. But listen, I think Trig's onto something, too. They got to hit from the perimeter. It's the one weakness of this defense of Texas Tech. They're not going to live in the paint or at the rim against them. So what gives here? So who do you think wins this matchup?
Joe, this is a tough one for me. I mean, by the way, mid-major Matt better hope that, the Razorbacks there and Musselman don't turn Gonzaga over and have a good coaching outcome in that one. But anyway, I do think mid-major Matt brought up a good point in terms of 8-on-5. Duke getting the calls here. I could see the NCAA wanting that Elite Eight matchup, what Duke and Gonzaga, plus the fact they've been getting calls so far. So you could see it happening again. The handicap for me, Joe, is, offense and defense. Duke, very offensively efficient here, and we get Texas Tech, depending what numbers you want to go off of, arguably the best defense in the country here. Number 1 defensive efficiency on Ken Pom. Number 10 in terms of defensive turnover percentage. If they're able to turn Duke over like they've been doing, I think the Red Raiders are the side. However, I'm not so sure they'll be able to do that because Duke, very good ball handling skills here. If Coach K and company are getting the calls here, I think Duke's the side. That's usually the side I go to. As we get into NBA playoff season, you want to be betting on the teams the NBA wants to advance. I don't think it's necessarily to that level in college basketball, but I do think there's a little something there. I want my money on who the NCAA wants to advance. And in this case, I could see Coach K kind of in his grand finale here in the tournament getting the calls. Therefore, if you make me bet this one, which I haven't yet, Joe, it would be on the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have the talent edge, Duke, but will that translate into a win? That remains to be seen. Should be a fun one here, guys. Duke taking on Texas Tech. And we do have a game tonight, though, in the other quarterfinal of the NIT. How about Wake Forest taking on A&M here? Texas A&M opened up as a 2.5-point favorite. That total is 146. And what can you say the Texas A&M Aggies? They were one of the hottest teams. If it wasn't for a loss in that SEC championship to Tennessee, who knows what could have been possible for them. But they got to handle Wake Forest, who hasn't been great on the road here, mid-major Matt. Are you buying Wake Forest being able to go to A&M and take care of business tonight?
Well, I mean, look, A&M goes off of the turnovers, and Wake Forest has had a little bit of a turnover issue so far this season. It'll be interesting to see because I think Quentin Jackson, who's a really good defender, is going to do some good work on Alondis Williams. And I think that look, I can't bet on player props here in the state of Virginia, unfortunately, but I think Jake LaRavia has a huge game. I think that he's a guy with some size and some shooting ability. I don't think Henry Coleman could keep up with him both inside and outside. So I think LaRavia is the guy you want to target if you're looking at some sort of props here. But you're right. Like Wake Forest is a very good team, but I can't trust them on the road. And motivation's now no longer a factor when it comes to this. Everybody wants to go play in New York. They want to pay off. Look, if you're going to be in the NIT, you want to make it to Madison Square Garden. So motivation is going to be there on both sides. I kind of lean to A&M here, but I also wonder if they don't force the turnovers, Wake Forest's offense is going to be really efficient in this game. I think Laravia has a big game. I'd target his player props. I'd throw him in there in DFS. But if this game was in Winston-Salem, or even if it was in Madison Square Garden, I'd probably play Wake Forest. But since it's not, I don't think I can.
15-4 at home for Texas A&M here, Matt. Drew, rather, it's a trip to the Garden for A&M. If they can handle business once again, do they get it done?
You know, it's a good game, Joe. And you bring up, a trip to the Garden here. So sometimes with these secondary tournaments, motivation plays a big part of the handicap. Here, I think motivation at the forefront. So I think both teams going to try to get there. And Matt brings up kind of home court advantage here. Texas A&M. Well, first off, Texas A&M and Wake Forest, both with great seasons, really, both straight up and against the spread records. But Texas A&M at home, covered 5 of their last 6, a very good home record overall, sitting at 15-4, whereas Wake Forest on the road, not really as pretty, just 5-5 on the road. Seven of their last 8 have finished over the total, whereas Texas Tech with Texas A&M, with 3 straight unders. So totals wise, I think it's a little bit tricky of a handicap. And also an interesting aspect here, I don't remember the last time ACC Player of the Year, which is Aldonis Williams this year, for Wake Forest, was not in the tournament. Well, that's the Wake Forest Demon Deacons this season. Texas A&M, of course, going back to Selection Sunday, kind of left out as well. So it's good to see both of these two teams kind of turn it around in the NIT and make it here. I kind of agree with Matt, though, given the location here, travel for Wake Forest, and with the Aggies, how they have played at home. I think it's the Aggies or pass. Another game that I haven't bet of yet, though, Joe.
So it's interesting, too. They took care of Towson, then they took care of VCU, that being Wake Forest here. But they also turned the ball over 15 times against VCU, and we know what A&M's going to do. If the turnovers get out of control, this game might not be close here, Trig, but do you think they can handle it, Wake Forest?
Oh, well, I definitely think they can. So this game was probably the toughest game on the board in terms of finding any sort of angle for me tonight, so I'm not going to, belabor it here because I really don't have a great lean in this game. I am looking at the market. The market kind of suggests Wake Forest might be the sharper side here. See, it's down to 2.5, and I wouldn't be surprised if that went to 2. Well, I don't trust either of these teams. Both of these teams, Wake Forest was a fade for me coming into late February. I thought this team was going to fizzle out, and they did, basically. I don't, lost, I want to say it was 3 of their last 5 to end the regular season, and that's ultimately probably what got them left out of the tournament. But here in this spot, it's 2 sloppy teams. I really agree with what Matt said. Laravia could have a monster game here, and if he does, I don't know. Wake Forest plus 2.5 could have some value in a game that I really think could go either way. But yeah, not anything strong for me here, and I won't kind of continue on because I've got one I want to belabor in the best bet section.
Yep, they certainly have a size advantage, Wake Forest, too. We'll see if they can't put that to good use and not turn the ball over so much, giving A&M those extra possessions, which it did not work out very well for a lot of teams in the SEC. So should be a good one in the quarterfinal tonight, that being Wake Forest and Texas A&M. All right, a couple other games coming up here tonight as well, but let us take a look here and see maybe if there is one game these guys like just a little bit more than the rest. So, Drew, I'll start with you, man. Talk to me. Which game did you circle for us here tonight?
I'm going to Chicago, Illinois, Joe, in the last game for the Sweet 16, that being Iowa State and the Miami Hurricanes. And, of course, the one thing given up here is, and I'm looking to bet on the Canes, guys, by the way. We've seen a huge push towards the Canes with good reasons. Yes, Ames, Iowa is closer to Chicago, Illinois than Miami, Florida. But other than that, I think a lot of the big matchup handicap part of this goes towards the Canes. Now, hopefully mid-major Matt doesn't bash on me too much for this opinion, but I think the best coach left, in my opinion, is Jim Larrañaga. At least the most underrated coach in the NCAA tournament is Jim Larrañaga here. And Joe, I think going into the first round, the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, I like to have the better coach advantage as part of my handicap. We get that here because we get the extra preparation time. Plus, I'm looking to fade Iowa State, Joe. And look, I already took a loss on them in the first round against LSU. But when you look at the two teams they beat, LSU, obviously problems there. I went out on a limb, took the loss. Then they come back and beat Wisconsin as well. Their best player, Johnny Davis, banged up. So in terms of how they got here, I think it's possibly a little bit fraudulent. And we get the Miami Hurricanes. They just knocked off my Auburn Tigers. And what we saw there was really good guard play against the number 2 seed Auburn Tigers. So I'm jumping off the Auburn train, alumni there with Auburn, kind of a joke, and jumping on the Miami Hurricanes train here, Joe. I think the Canes got a shot to knock them off. Not only got a shot, I bet them straight up on the money line. It's now moved to -2.5, so I think it's too much juice to lay on the money line now. But I will lay the 2.5 with the Miami Hurricanes here, Joe. I think the Canes punch their ticket into the Elite Eight in a double-digit seeded Sweet 16. Very rare here, but I think the Canes move on. That's my best bet for the show, Joe.
All right. Look at Miami to get it done against Iowa State. Talk to me, Trig, which you mentioned you had a play here tonight you liked. Which one is it?
Well, first, I just got to say, I can't wait till Musselman is shirtless after this Gonzaga-Arkansas game. Matt, that's our guy. Drew and I love Musselman. So, he's going to be hammering a Diet Coke during the game, and then he's going to be shirtless after the game when they win. Well, tonight, I'm on UNC Wilmington. I gave this out on Wager Talk today earlier. I gave it out to my clients at +5. I think this one is on the move, though. You better get it now. It looks like it's 4.5 and 4, back down to 4.5 and 4 some places. Two of the most successful teams against the spread in the country this year. But in this case, Middle Tennessee State, they're only 3 and 4 since Josh Jefferson's been out. He last played on February 26th. And it took a big effort in the later game last night for Middle Tennessee State to kind of come out, overturn a second-half deficit, and beat Abilene Christian in a game that Abilene Christian looked like they were going to run away with early and then made like 3 shots the entire second half. So Middle Tennessee State gets in that way. NC Wilmington, sort of an easier game yesterday. They were able to coast by North Colorado. So in this particular matchup, NC Wilmington, they've won 8 of 9. Their only loss in the CAA title game, they had that game up until like the final minute or two. They haven't lost a game by more than 4 points. They've only lost 1 game by more than 4 points since February 3rd. That was against Towson, who won the CAA. This is the championship game. It's an early tip at 5 Eastern. I do think that benefits NC Wilmington just a little bit, getting to play earlier and not as sort of intensive a game. They're getting too many points. I think this is going to be a really good game that potentially goes down to the wire. I like Wilmington to win it, so I'll take the points with NC Wilmington in the CBI final from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Boom! Daytona it is. Should be actually a really good game tonight there in that one. How about it, Mid-Major Matt, sportsmemo.com? Which one did you circle for us here today?
So I am also on Miami. Also because, much like Drew said, you want to be on the better coaches in this round, much like why I like Gonzaga over Arkansas, because one is a good coach and one's a pretty decent coach, despite the fact he doesn't have 2 arms. But look, the things that Iowa State does, look, they defend the 3 really well, and that's going to be a bit of an issue against Miami. But Iowa State doesn't have the size to stress Miami. And we saw Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler on Auburn basically get somewhat taken out. I mean, Jabari Smith went 10 minutes without a shot, and I think Larrañaga schemed some things up there. And I think you give a guy like that a lot of time to prepare for a game like this. He's going to figure some things out. And look, this is the same Iowa State team that scored 36 points against Oklahoma State. They scored 41 against Texas. And look, Miami's defense isn't good, and I'm not expecting them to hold them to that kind of number here. But I think Miami's defense is good enough. They're athletic enough to keep up with Iowa State. I got in early on the money line, much like Drew did. I think we actually probably took it at the same time on Sunday night when it came out. But I think Miami's just the better team here. And if you don't want to, maybe you pair off Miami with another team you like and do like a little money line parlay here. But I like the Canes. I think they beat Iowa State straight up on Sunday.
All right, we got 2 votes for the Canes here tonight. No play from our friends from the Gold Sheet, but we certainly encourage you guys to head over there and check out some of the write-ups that they have posted there at goldsheet.com. I'm going to go to Daytona tonight, too, Middle Tennessee and UNC, but I'm going to go with the under. You got strength versus strength here. You got one team in Middle Tennessee chucks up a ton of threes going up against one of the best three-point shooting defenses we're going to see. I don't think it's going to be high scoring at all here. I think it might come down to free throws, which should be interesting. But I'm going to back the under in Wilmington taking on Middle Tennessee State tonight. And to recap one more time here, we've got Drew Martin back in the Canes, laying the 2.5 against Iowa State. Trigg, he's going Wilmington tonight. Take the 4.5. Matt Joseph's mid-major, Matt at sportsmemo.com. He going to Canes also, only, you know what? Points, schmoints. Give me the money line, man. Minus 145. Lay it with a pretty good coach in Jim Larinaga there. I'm going to back the under in this matchup tonight with Wilmington and Middle Tennessee State at 136.5. And, of course, we'd encourage you guys visit Drew and Trigg at WagerTalk.com. Best bets are locked and loaded right now here, guys. Drew's been absolutely on fire, guys, this college basketball season. Trigg also coming off a great win with Bonaventure last night. Both of those guys' best bets are available at WagerTalk.com. And mid-major Matt, coming off a 3-0 night, guys. He has absolutely been red hot this time of year. So make sure you visit him, get his best bets over at sportsmemo.com. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. We'll do it again tomorrow here on the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. A couple of more Sweet 16 matchups here. We'll have an NIT semifinal. So we got a whole lot still going on. So come back and join us tomorrow. In the meantime, on behalf of Drew, Adam, Trigger, and Mid-Major Matt, guys, best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.
Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95, and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down, and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.